Hello again, everyone, and welcome to the Galen Snyder Show. I'm Vince Reed. And the Galen Snyder Show is brought to you by Aria Health, your neighbors in Lower Bucks County, and by Peruzzi Buick GMC, right there on Business Route 1 in Langhorne. Well, we're getting set for another week of football this weekend and looking for some good action once more as the Pennsbury Falcons this weekend is going to be taking on the Council Rock South Golden Hawks in the ball game set up here, ready to get underway. And we're looking for a good presentation by both of these schools coming into the ball game. First of all, we're going to talk to Galen Snyder about last week's ball game, and of course they won that convincingly over Harry Truman by the score of 51-2 in the outcome in that contest, and we'll go over that contest a little bit. And when you look at it, Galen, the first half you had a 14-2 lead over the Truman Tigers, but one of the things they were doing, and that was trying to control the clock. They basically used Jordan Livingston and Manny Fisher throughout the entire ball game. As far as that goes, is those two guys mostly up the middle on you.
Yeah, they didn't really, I guess we got ready for option look all week, but they didn't really run any option. It was just pretty much out of an option formation. It was just pretty much like a fullback, for lack of a better term, like a fullback blast. I mean,
yeah.
Just double teamed the point of contact and we get about 3 yards of carry.
When you look at it, did you expect them when you hit the second half and, it was 14-2, you had the lead, and then of course in the second half you took that kickoff and managed to put one across, and I think that really turned the tide there altogether. But did you expect them to go through the whole ball game just almost like having only one play with 2 guys?
Well, it became apparent that that's what they were going to do, by halftime. But yeah, I mean, I don't. That seemed what they were content on doing.
When you look at your ball club now and you saw the way they responded, of course, Daquan Mack was back and back in a big way as he had himself well over 100 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns along the way and had that burst up the middle. I guess you could say that he's pretty strong once more, and of course he seemed to be in fine shape for that ball game.
Yeah, that was Daquan, back in action, running fullback, and obviously had a heck of a game. I think he had 156 yards on 10 carries and something like 4 touchdowns. So like every time he touched the ball, he was off to the races, and he looked good.
I know we had talked about this before, and of course we talked about the fact that you had to build the offensive line, and of course Meehan was the center for the ball club, the only one you had coming back. Tell us about those guys and tell us who they are, who now you've gotten into league play, and now they seem to be settled in and seem to be doing a job like you have done in the past with that line. And it's not an easy thing to do, as I mentioned a lot of times, but it seems you've had to do that a few times, and now that you're getting into what would be the 5th game of the year, you're looking at another offensive line that looks strong. And what is it about your ball club and you're able to build them by this point?
Well, I think number one, given the nature of the wing tee, it asks linemen to do a number of things. And although there are some advantages for the linemen as far as angles and whatnot, it definitely requires them that they learn a lot of techniques. And we're kind of settled in on the guys that we have now. We have a nice mixture. We have a couple seniors with Jack Meehan and Kyle Potasic, and then we have a couple of juniors with Mike Mollahan and Elliot Luca, and tight end that is, and then we have 2 sophomore tackles, Sam Raywood and Jordan O'Neill. So it's a nice mix of kids, and we feel like we've found a mix there.
Yeah, I think as you mentioned to me before, of course, you realized being the coach of this ball club, and you've done it before, it was going to take a few weeks to really find out exactly what you had and who were you going to have out there that started to really pick things up in the O-line.
Yeah, no doubt. We still have a couple kids who went in and played for us over the first couple of weeks.
Right.
Who, we feel like if something happens, they can go in and give us a good, serviceable job as well.
When you look at your team right now, and of course heading into this week, and you see what they played before, the opposition, and what they're going up against right now, is this pretty close to being to peak form, you think, in your ball club, or you still got more you can certainly learn from this point on?
No, actually, it's not. I mean, we still have areas to improve, room to improve, and I think we can, become a real good team.
I know you look at Breon Clark, of course, a quarterback who is going to get you an opportunity to throw the ball a few times in the air, and you got to feel good about the fact that the arm that he has and some of the guys will be able to throw to, that you now have more of a weapon here, even though maybe you don't use it as much. Teams know that you have somebody who can throw.
No doubt, and Breon, this was his second game. I thought he did a nice job again of managing the offense, and he also ran very well. So he's only going to get better.
You know, you look at the ball club and the way they played right now, and the opposition that they played, and you take a look at the league as far as that goes in the Suburban One National Conference. You're undoubtedly, when you look at games that have been played so far, you're undoubtedly one of the teams, if not the team right now, that everybody's going to have to point to with the way your team has looked, especially against the fact that it looked so good against good opposition before you got to the league.
Well, I appreciate that. In how it goes, the old adage, we're just going to focus on rocks out this week.
Right.
And, it's up in the air, and focus on the league first, and then hopefully in a position and focus on the district playoffs.
You know, one thing, of course, because of the fact that you played them, I'm keeping up on the Easton and Downingtown East ball clubs, which of course are moving on, and Downingtown East ended up getting a last-second win against their rival Coatesville, and got the extra point to win 35-34. So I think really when it comes down to it, they were looking at that ball game as a pivotal one in the Chessmont League for them. But when you look at it, I think too that they took a lot out of that victory they got against you to help them in that Coatesville game, I think.
Yeah, and they might have been a little banged up.
Yeah.
After our game, so it'll be interesting. Really interesting to see. Like I said, once the season's done, hopefully we're in a position that we can maybe face Downingtown or Coatesville, whoever in the playoffs.
All right, we're going to be back with more here with Coach. I want to tell you first, of course, that we're being brought to you by Aria Health, your neighbors in Lower Bucks County, and of course also by Peruzzi, Buick, and GMC, which is...
Tom from Mooresville says that Aria Health's emergency department saved his life. Recently, while playing golf, Tom experienced cardiac arrest and the ambulance took him to Aria Health Bucks County campus, where Dr. Emmerich and his team of doctors and nurses took fast action and literally brought Tom back to life. Dr. Emmerich visited Tom frequently, answered all his questions, even gave him his phone number. Led by Dr. Harry Emmerich, the emergency department at Aria Health Bucks County provides 24/7 care in a leading-edge environment. To learn more about Tom's story at Aria Health Bucks County, visit ariahealth.org/Tom. That's ariahealth.org/Tom.
Hi, this is Larry at Peruzzi Buick GMC. You'll hit a home run every weekend at Peruzzi Buick GMC Service Department. Every Saturday and Sunday, Peruzzi Buick GMC is offering a standard oil and filter change for just $19.95. And remember, Peruzzi Buick GMC is open every Sunday from 8 to 5. Peruzzi Buick GMC is the home of the $34.95 Pennsylvania State and Emissions Inspection every day of the week. No matter where you purchase your car or truck, you can get it serviced 7 days a week at Peruzzi Buick GMC. And remember, we're open Sundays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
This game tonight, in which you're going to have a ball club that you're playing that hasn't tasted a victory, that were co-champions of the league last year, and coming in here, I think this is one of those games that you can call a trap game, because next week, you have Abington. You can't really be looking ahead to the next game, and you really look at this when, of course, the kids see and know that this is a team that hasn't won a ball game yet this year, but you can't have a letdown against these ball clubs.
No, not at all. They have some good football players. There's some kids who were, guys who made impacts for them last year, and their team that made it all the way to the district finals. And I know they're probably struggling bringing some new kids into the mix, but I'm sure they're going to get better every week, and we'll expect a better Rock South to show up Friday night than the one from last week. And no, I don't think you have to worry about that at all with our guys.
What about Christian Crane? He's been really carrying the load for them offensively for this ball club. Is anything you're looking at to try to stop him? He'll be the primary target, I think, for your ball club.
Yeah, he's a very good runner. He's a halfback. They also use him a little bit at quarterback. I kind of expected that he would have been the quarterback coming into the year, but I guess the other young man's working out pretty well for him. But Crane's probably the best threat as far as taking the ball distance. like I said up front, they have some big kids led by Galen, and of course, the fullback Deanne Steinmetz was really good last year. He's I don't know, he finished like second in the state at 195 wrestling, so he's obviously a tough kid. So they have some ball players, and I expect them to be better each week.
What do you say to the kids before the ball game coming out, knowing that you're coming in here and facing a team that hasn't won a ball game so far this year? What do you say to them to get them to a situation where they won't be letting down?
No, I don't think you'll see it let down. I don't think we have to say anything to them with regard. It's so early in the season. They may be out going forward, but it's a lot different than let's say we go in 8 or 9.
Yeah.
I fully anticipate, hopefully it's not this week, but the next few weeks that we'll get some W's, and we'll be all right.
When you took a look at the defense of this Golden Hawks ball club, and you know what you like to do. You want to run the ball, and of course you have the power to go inside with Mack, and also you can go inside or outside when it comes right down to it with the other two guys in Pepper or Snorway when you come down to it. But how does this look as far as you're concerned in doing what you want to do offensively against them? Do you feel that your up front guys can handle it?
Well, they like I said, I think they're pretty strong at the defensive tackle. They got some big kids there. Where they've been hurt is sort of off tackle and wide. So I think we have some guys and some plays that definitely attack those areas. And I think they had to replace a lot of players.
Yeah.
Who were big parts of the team last year. So probably bring along some young kids.
When you look at your ball club as far as that concerned, where do you feel you're really getting really better from game one until now? Where do you think you made the most adjustments as far as that goes, and the most progress when it comes down to it?
Well, we probably made more adjustments on offense than defense, but at the same time, we have definitely made some moves defensively that we're hoping pay dividends, and I think we're cutting down a lot of the mental errors that we made early in the season on both sides of the ball. We're still making too many, but we're definitely getting better from week to week.
You're playing a ball club that also, of course, Vince Medicine likes to run the football. You like to run the football. So when you look at it defensively, the kids, you don't have to worry too much about the pass, but they can always throw in on you once in a while, as you know, because you're another ground attack kind of ball club. But what about the defense playing a team that, now you're going against a team too that just really would like to run?
Well, you have to be really solid between the tackles defensively, with the down linemen and the inside linebackers. They give you a number of things. Run the veer, run the midline inside, two different forms of the option, and then they'll try to get you to the outside with some tosses, and then they'll come back and they'll go to an old-fashioned wishbone and run some power football at you, run some little double dive, a little power off tackle. So they like to run the ball like we do, and they like to be physical. So it's going to be if you like hard-hitting football and both teams getting after each other, physical style, it's a good game.
When you got an opportunity in the ball game, especially throughout that fourth quarter, to use some backups there, and you showed something too with the backups you had, especially the one kid, Smith, I think it was, that got himself 2 touchdowns. And I was mentioning when you look at that, you're looking at a kid running the way he was running, like saying to you, hey, maybe down the line, coach, if you need somebody, I'm ready.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, we like a lot of our younger kids, and our junior varsity kids and sophomore kids. There's some talent there, and some of them out on the field do a nice job.
Your son, I know, played in the ball game, and he got an opportunity to play some as well. Looking at it as a coach, what's your thoughts as you're out there watching as your son's playing?
As a coach, or
as a coach, as a dad? I should say.
He better get the job done. He's getting an opportunity, and he's earned it through camp, and has to get the job done.
Yeah, you have some youngsters on this ball club that you brought up, and certainly you wouldn't be bringing them up if they couldn't play the game. That's the whole thing. It's got to feel good to know that you're going to have kids that are getting some action now, being this young, and have an opportunity to be with you for a few years.
Well, you have to bring some of the younger kids along in development, especially when you play like the type of teams that we play in the beginning of each season. It's not like we can put kids in situations and then it's tough for them. I mean, if we had maybe a softer schedule to start out,
Yeah.
we could have kids in their first varsity experience and just we'd be able to be okay. But the fact that we come out and shoot with the Eastons and Downingtown Easts and whatnot, kids have to be ready, and they have to be ready the following year.
Yeah.
Be ready to go.
Right. But it certainly gives you an opportunity if you can get ahead a little bit of some of these ball clubs. You've got some youngsters that look pretty good, and really, I would think that they're kind of chomping at the bit to try to get in more games like they did this last one and show what they can do for you.
Well, you're right, and kids like that, if they're pushing the older kids at practice, and they're just making your team stronger. They're adding some competition to the mix. Some of the guys, sometimes you're looking over their shoulders and you see a good young player. That's actually a healthy thing. That makes people work harder.
And of course, we're being brought to you by Aria Health, your neighbors in Lower Bucks County, and of course also by Peruzzi, Buick, and GMC, located on Business Route 1 in Langhorne. Talking, of course, with Coach Galen Snyder of the Falcons, who have a big ball game this weekend. And when you look at it, Coach, you look at I think one of the biggest upsets we've seen in the area now for a while. You had Ben Salem beating Penn Ridge, coming over from the Continental Conference, and then you had William Tennant here knocking off Neshaminy. I think when you see those kind of things happening, you realize what they say, and that is, you can't take anybody lightly.
No, it's high school football, and they are kids, and if they're not ready to go, sometimes the kids, what happens is the momentum starts going the other way, and things happen.
Yes, things certainly do. Well, we're looking to see what's going to happen here tonight as we have the Pennsbury Falcons playing host to Council Rock South, the Golden Hawks in our ball game. And Coach, we're looking for another thriller, another good ball game here. I know it's been an enjoyable season so far. We played, as far as that goes, you've played the top competition that you could play in the non-league schedule, and we enjoyed, even though maybe lost a couple of games, certainly was a joy to broadcast those ball games, because really your team was fighting to the end in those games, and also you showed such great improvement that they look really solid right now.
I appreciate it, and like I said, I hope it continues to show in our performance from week to week.
All right, we're getting set for the big one here as we were going to head out to the field, of course, in Fairless Hills, getting set for the game to get underway tonight as Pennsbury plays host to the Council Rock South Ball Club. And for the Galen Snyder Show, I'm Vince Reed, brought to you, of course, by Aria Health, your neighbors in Lower Bucks County, and also by Peruzzi, Buick, and GMC, located on Business Route 1 in Langhorne.